Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode, weekly update. Today we're going to look at a really fun one that I did a restoration on a long time ago, but still really cool, one of my favorites. Anyways, I hope you did enjoy the video of us in Nashville. That was a really fun video to make, and I do want to make another vacuum hunting video soon, hopefully. But without further ado, let's get on to today's vacuum exposition. Alright, so what we have today is something that you probably haven't seen before, and there's a good reason for that. Now, before I get into the machine, let me take you back in time a little bit to 1970. There was a lot of things going on in 1970, including some of Chevrolet's best muscle cars. But either way, out of 1970, we started seeing some more promotional models coming out from Hoover, and we'll look at more of those. I do have a couple of them in my collection, but we'll look at those at a later time. But out popped the Model 704, and here is a scan of the spec sheet for the original Model 704. Now, as you can see, this one looks a bit different than a normal stock 704. This has a cord winder on it. Now, for those of you that are into Hoover convertibles and some of the other more rare models, there is a model called the 704-01, and I'll show a little info sheet for those. As you can see, the 704-01 does look a bit different, one being the cord winder shape. A cord winder, of course, is something that you would wrap a cord within without having to do any hooks on the side, which made cord storage a lot easier. Essentially, you would just rewind the cord back into it without having to wrap and wrap and wrap. We have kind of discussed cord winder machines a little bit on the channel already, but the 704, along with being a promotional model, did have that 704-01 limited production model, which is very top of the line. Mostly, as I could see, was to compete against things like the Eurekas at the time, which did have cord winders as well, but this is different. Now, according to another very knowledgeable vacuum collector, there was, in fact, another cord winder convertible, aside from the private label JCPenney's machines, because there were some, I believe it was an A1117, I believe, I'm not sure. I don't have one, unfortunately, but there were a few cord windered convertibles under the Pencrest labeling, but the only one to the Hoover was the 704-01. Well, after this new information came to me, there was another one called the 704A. 704-01 had a square cord winder. The 704A had a round cordomatic cord winder like this. Now, this is not a factory-built 704A. When I found out about that particular model, I'd always wanted a 704-01. However, they are few and far between, and the people that have them don't generally want to get rid of them. When they do, they command a pretty high price. So, amidst my searches, I haven't been able to find one, unfortunately. So, when I was just freshly out of college, at the time, I had two 704s. One had been that I had gotten from a friend, and another one I'd found at a thrift shop. And I was kind of contemplating, should I sell the other one? Well, my good friend Jay, he and I were kind of discussing it, and he said, why don't we just hot rod that other one? And I thought, oh, that'd be kind of cool, but where would I find a cord winder? So that began the long, arduous process of searching for wiring diagrams and parts diagrams, and looking up ways of which that we could, attach a cord winder to a convertible. And there had been other people that had done this. Kyle Critchbaum had done a pink cord winder convertible that he had posted on Vacuum Land, that he had done using an old Eureka cord winder, which looked incredible. Awesome looking build. And that used a square cord winder, so it kind of looked just like the 704-01. But I wanted to make mine different. I wanted to do it like the 704A, like we discovered. So Cordomatic made cord winders for not just vacuum cleaners, but they made like extendable shop lights and stuff like that, and dog leash retractors. They made a whole lot of stuff that utilized the technology of a cord winder. Now, what I ended up doing was I found one of those retractable shop light cord winders, and I thought, you know what? What if I took that and I fashioned a way to make the cord work onto it with the retractor, and then bolted it to the neck, or not neck, but handle, and then tried to massage in some other attributes to make the cord winder work. So I did more digging and did more research, and pretty soon I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I just gotta try it. So I ordered an old shop light. It came in. I took it all apart, and I found myself an extra Hoover branded cord, and I thought, okay, well, that's ready. And so I had to find a way to retain the cord at the top. Luckily, one good thing that I found in my parts bin was a cord. Well, it was a cord hook that had broken, but it was for a Eureka that they usually snap onto the side of a handle, but they go around the cord. So I kind of started playing around with it and found out that would work perfectly to retain the cord at the top. So normally on a 704A, there'd be a button kind of release that would give you the ability to retract the cord. This way, it's just friction that holds the cord, so that as it comes back out, when you are done with it, you pull it, and then it retracts it back in. But either way, that was how I did it. And then, of course, I cut off the original cord hooks, so you can't really see them, but there are a couple nubs where they used to be. And then on top of that, I needed an original bag, so I found a original small top bag that would work with this, and gave it a good paint job along with the handle and cord winder. And Jay even sourced me a large Hoover logo for the center of the Cordomatic cord winder. Now, I realized this wasn't a factory-made machine, and I realized that, this was an early restoration of mine, so it's not perfect, but it's one that I absolutely love to talk about. It's one where the history is really cool, and the fact that, we just don't know a whole lot about these, and it came out really, really well, and it runs very, very nicely. The cord winder is a little worn out. I mean, as I said, it was an old shop light, so the spring doesn't retain itself very well anymore. So what I will do for testing is I'll plug it in up here, just in case. I don't want to have the cord hanging out and not be able to get back in. Anyways, it's a really cool machine. I learned a lot about restoration on this machine, it's definitely a fun one to bring out. So let's get on to our run demo, and we will go from there. Alright, so it's been a little bit since I've worked this particular convertible, so let's see how she runs. Still runs great. Absolutely love seeing this thing fire up. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed our little episode today on the 704A. This is, like I said, one of my really favorite machines just because of the hard work I put into it, as well as, you know, the time I shared with my friend Jay on him helping me, you know, wiring it all up and making sure that it would work. And, you know, it was a really fun build, and it did kind of help me through a kind of a rough patch in my life. So really still happy to have this thing around, and, you know, we'll definitely see this on the channel, especially as I build more vacuum displays that, of course, will be proudly put up with my regular 704 as well as the rest of my convertibles. So thanks again for everybody watching. If this is your first video, don't forget to hit the like or the comment and subscribe. Be sure to go check out the other videos I have out there. I do weekly uploads every Sunday on a different machine, or if it should so happen to be, I will do a video going and exploring, visiting another collector's collection, or maybe even, you know, do something completely different. We haven't really gotten to that part, so we will take a look at that kind of stuff later. But thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week.